welcome back to JCAL Education at Home. This is Candle Making 101 with Mellow Vibe Candles. Again, I'm Christina Wellington, and I'm so glad that you're back with me. In this episode, we are going to be actually handcrafting some candles. So I want to show you the type of wax that I work with. I want to show you some of the basic steps that you can take at home if you do decide to pick up the art of candle making. So today we're going to be working with these beautiful gold jars. Okay, let me show you the inside. They're very pretty and they can reflect silver on the inside, gold on the outside. Your label is going to go here. This is the lid. It's a very chic design, very beautiful. If you can see there, you can see some of the embossed features right there. You see that? Really beautiful. These are great for this time of the year. Really, it's a nice year-round color. Most people do prefer sleek looking jars these days. You are seeing a lot of popularity in tumblers, just really nice modern colors, black, gold, a lot of matte colors, grays. Also, like concrete jars are really popular. People are moving away from just the regular clear glass candle, so keep that in mind. So let me just show you really quickly the first step. So we are going to actually make these candles. These candles are actually going to go out to a customer, so this is really amazing. One of the first things that I do before I start my candle making process is set the mood. So if you hear just a little bit behind me, you probably hear a little jazz. I like to set the mood with my favorite music, jazz, R&B, music that's calming, that kind of sets this relaxing mood and ambiance for me. I really like to feel grounded with the soothing sounds of certain type of music. Pretty often I may have my coffee or my tea or another beverage just to make sure that I stay hydrated, because you know it takes some time to get through most of these steps, and especially if you're making larger batches. So in this part of the episode, we just have a few candles that we're going to make. Again, these are these beautiful gold embossed jars. So the first part of candle making is that you want to get your wax melted, okay? So I want to show you the type of wax that I use. So the first step is the wax, all right? So this is actual soy wax, all right? So I'm going to show you in flake form. This is what soy wax looks like in flake form, okay? You see that? Yeah. All right, so that's actual wax. I love this wax. It's very soft. It's also skin friendly. So the candles that I make can also double as a massage oil. So please keep that in mind when you're selecting specific types of wax. Skin friendly waxes would be soy wax, beeswax, coconut wax, and apricot wax. Okay, so keep that in mind. Most of those waxes, you do not need to add anything else besides a premium grade skin-friendly fragrance oil to create a massage candle. Okay, so that's a plus. Ding, ding, ding. All right, so before I get started with my candle making, I pre-measure it and pre-melt it. Okay, so I have this amazing wax melter here. I'm going to just show it to you really quickly. This is my wax melter, all right? In this wax melter, as you can see here, this is my wax melter. This is a smaller wax melter. It can hold up until about 5 pounds of wax. Either the wax you just loaded, like the flake form that I showed you, you pour it into this pot, you set it to a specific temperature. Remember the temperatures that we discussed. I have it on warm. Warm is all you need. Warm is about 125 degrees to 140 degrees. That's a really good temperature. The nozzle is able to go up to 400 degrees. Will we ever need that? No, not really. The only time that you would turn up this nozzle to about 250 degrees is if you're working with gel wax. Gel wax is a clear wax that we did not discuss, but it is one of those, again, a petroleum-based wax. It is pretty jelly, so it requires a higher temperature to melt. Okay, so keep that in mind. We're not working with that today, but keep that in mind. If you happen to get a wax melter, you want to make sure that you are melting your wax on warm, really under 200. You do not need to go over that. Okay, cool. So let's get started. All right, so we talked about these gold jars. We are working with these gold jars today. The first step that you want to take with your gold jars, these actually have already been cleaned. So you would take again, I am not a traditional chandler, so there are certain items that I do not have present on my table, but that I would recommend for beginner candle makers, okay? So a thermometer, one that you can actually hold up to scan the temperature of your wax. You also want to make sure that you have a small scale so that you can place your candle on the scale. While pouring your candle, you're going to know exactly how much wax to put in there. That will also help you know how much fragrance to put in this specific candle. Again, we talked about that in episode 2, wax to oil ratio, okay? So keep that in mind. So you would like to start by cleaning your jars. I've already done that, so they're nice and ready to go, clean and all set. The first step is to then select a wick. This is a small wick, so this can actually be used, I can actually use 2 for this particular candle. You can use wick stickers, or you could also use a glue gun. Wick stickers are really good for keeping your wick in place. Okay, so if you see that they almost look like little Band-Aid dots, you can find these pretty much anywhere. Just do a little Google search and you'll be able to find your wick sticker. So the first thing you do is you're going to take off one of your wick stickers. Okay, you peel one off. It's double-sided sticky, so you just put off one side and you peel the other side off, and now it is all good to go. It is very important when wicking your jars that you try your best to center your wicks so that the wicks are not too close to the outsides of the jars. The reason being is the closer a wick is to the outsides of the jars, it has the potential to create too much heat, which can break, it can crack your jars, and guess what? You'll have wax everywhere. You don't want that. So for this particular jar, we have a nice round center there in the middle, so that makes the wicking process a little easier. You want to kind of look for jars that already have numbers in the bottom. They have swirls in the bottom, so that when you open it, it's easier to pinpoint the exact places where your wick should be placed. All right. So this little window right here is for your label. We'll talk about labels later. But right here, since I'm doing a double wick, I would place my first wick here. So now you have wick number 1. See that? Wick number 1. And then I'm going to take another wick sticker and select another wick. Stick that on right there. And place. Okay, great. Now we have 2 wicks, all right? 2 wicks. Front here, 2 wicks in the center. Perfect, see? Awesome, ready to go. All right, and we'll do that again for the others. Label in front. Wick number 1 placed. Wick number 2 placed, okay? Here we go. Here we go, here we go. All right, so let's start with, okay, perfect. Great, ready to go. Okay, next step. All right, so the first candles that we're going to make is a year-round lemongrass candle, okay? So here's one of the bottles, all right? I don't want to show the brands, but it's typically... So the next part of your crafting step is to make sure that you have a method in which to put your wax in. So the next step would be, now that your wax is pre-melted and warm and ready to go, and now that you've selected your jars to work with and placed your wicks, You want to now pour in the wax that's pre-melted and combine it with a fragrance oil, okay? So we are going to make a lemongrass. I wish you could smell it. A lemongrass candle. It's a year-round fave. People really love this fragrance, okay? So I have my pitcher. This is actually plastic. A lot of the candle pitchers and pourers are actually metal, so we really like those. They're bigger. You can put more wax in there. You can pour more candles that way. But since we're working with just a few, this is all that we need, all right? So again, my wax is pre-measured. I have it here. It's pouring out of this little nozzle in the front. So I'm going to show you, once I fill in all this wax, what the melted wax looks like, okay? So it's pouring, it's pouring, it's pouring, it's pouring. It's beautiful. It goes from flaky white to a beautiful golden yellow, okay? So this is the fully melted wax here. See that? Fully melted. This is a premium USA grown soy wax, okay? So again, this wax is skin friendly. So really quickly, before we even fragrance it, I would like to show you just how great this wax is for your skin, okay? So remember, if you are going to take a test, a skin test of this soy wax, you wanna make sure that you're gonna take your pinky tip, you dip it in just a little bit, and then you're going to rub it into the top of your other hand, okay? I'll take another dip and I'm gonna rub it in. As you can see, this wax is going to go and absorb right into my skin where it will not leave any residue, okay? And just like that, we have a skin moisturizer, okay? So yes, a little goes a long way. This can go anywhere on the body, okay? Anywhere on the body. Again, it almost looks like a body oil. Super cool. Keep that in mind. Soy wax doubles as a massage oil. Okay, so now we're ready to add our fragrance oil and stir. I love working with these long-handled spoons. These are actually my favorite. I actually use these in all of my candle making classes. All of my students really love to work with these spoons. It's like the Voila candle magic stick, okay? So again, we're working with this lemongrass fragrance oil. Again, it is also skin friendly because this is compatible with soap bases and lotion bases, all right? So keep that in mind. So here we are. We have our melted wax. I'm going to pour some of this fragrance oil into this wax, all right? So now remember terminology. We're going from the cold throw, which is the fragrance fresh out of the bottle, now to a potential hot throw, which means the fragrance is now hitting the melted wax and the intensity of the fragrance is now changing, okay? So we pour that in and we stir. Stir, 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 put a lot of love in there. Lots of love in there. Whew, smells so good. So now this is what your potential candle is going to smell like, okay? So from this point, based on the type of candle that you're making, meaning the size and the recommended fragrance oil percentage use, you're going to, at this point, tell if this fragrance needs to be a little stronger or if it's just enough. Again, for the beginner candle maker, you want to make sure that you're still following measurement guidelines. Make sure you're using your scales. That will help you until you get your formula down right. For me, I just, like I said, it's like a grandma with her seasoning, a little bit, and I know exactly how to do it. Am I happy with this lemongrass? Not quite, so that means I can put just a little splash in, okay? So now we're going to, again, stir for a couple of minutes. Lots of love in there. I don't hear my jazz. I think I need to add my jazz again. All right, so lots of love in there. It's beautiful. It's ready to go, okay? All right, so you want to make sure that you have disposable tablecloths or some sort of a flat surface that's heat resistant and that's also something that's not going to be stained, to make sure that you can just place your drippy candle wax items they on top of. So we're ready to pour now. All right, so now we are ready to pour, okay? So we're taking this beautiful, now we're ready to pour, okay? You ready? Okay. All right, pour time. Okay, so the wicks, I think, all right, so now we are ready to pour, okay? So our wicks are in place. They're kind of just here, they're dangling. Don't worry about the wicks just yet. This is the stage where you really want to be careful so that you're not pouring any wax on yourself. You're not pouring any wax on the sides of the jars, because what happens with that, you're going to have to go back around. You're going to have to clean that wax off, and you want to be really careful. You want to give yourself less work, okay? So we're going to work clean and smart, not harder. All right, so here we are. Here's our melted wax, and it is now going to be poured into this candle jar, the container jar. Okay, you ready? Beautiful. Candle number 1 is poured. And now candle number 2. See that? Easy, slow, beautiful, and perfect. So now we have 2 candles poured. The wax is now at its preferred fill line. Okay, so these candles are ready to go. Now we are ready to cure these. So these are going to sit tight for just a few moments. And now we need to focus on how to cure this candle by placing the wicks in a curing position, okay? So as you can see, they're kind of just here, they're dancing, there's nothing holding them in place. If you were to cure this candle like this, these wicks would not be centered, they'd be everywhere. So you wanna make sure that before your candle is solidified, you find different ways or methods to hold your wicks in place. Again, I'm a non-traditional chandler. I do not use some of the newer vices that you can purchase to keep your wicks in place. I just use clothespins, all right? So you would take one clothespin and you place it here, and then you take another and then you place it there. So just like that, both of your wicks are now in place and the candles are ready to cure, all right? So we're gonna do the same for this candle. You're placing one wick here, and you're gonna place the other wick there. Your clothespins are in place, and now these babies get to relax for a bit, and we'll be back. So now that our first 2 candles have been poured and they're curing, I'm just going to move them off to the side. I would recommend, if you're, again, for new chandlers, to make sure that you also have like heat resistant gloves. Sometimes the outsides of the jars can burn you, so you just want to be careful with that, okay? So we are going to continue some wicking. Again, all of these jars have been cleaned, and I just want to make sure that we can, okay. Back to wicking, okay? So now let's make some more candles. So we made some lemongrass candles. Next, I want to work with some delicious fall fragrances, okay? So we are going to make a yummy cozy cashmere, okay? So again, this is basic candle making. There's so many other things that you can do with wax. So So while we're wicking, let's talk about some of the most popular candles. Okay, so the candles that I'm making, again, are just your basic home fragrance candles. You'll find in the candle, on the candle market, that people like their specialty candles. They might like the dessert candles, which are pretty much container candles that are made and designed to look like desserts. All right, so that is a little bit more intense. I'm pretty sure that maybe we'll be able to cover that at another time. But again, this is your Mellow Vibe is really a home fragrance brand, okay? So the goal is to dazzle your senses, keep you mellow, calm, and collected, and keep you centered, right? So we're just wicking. So you can see here, again, ready to go. This one's ready. So we've gotten all of our wicks in place for this next batch. Some of these I'm actually going to make for myself. Self-care is really important. Also keep that in mind for the chandlers out there, the potential chandlers out there. It's okay to test your own candles, you know, and it also helps you to calm down. I like to burn my own candles, not just because I make them, and I am a little biased about my candle making, but they are very comforting and soothing to the soul. All right, I've decided that I would like to make a relaxation candle, another relaxation candle. I'm just gonna add a little fragrance oil. I got a new stir because new stir, new pitcher. Here we go. We're making another one. Yummy, yummy, yummy. So I'm pretty sure you've wondered why we haven't used any colors. You can use dyes to color your candles. We're not going to do that today simply because the people that purchase the candles that I make really do like to use them as a massage oil. And I do not recommend adding dyes to candles that you're going to create if they're going to be skin friendly. But if you want to step up your candle making game just a little bit, then yes, these are the items that you would use to color your candles. There are ready-made candle dyes. If you're going to use dye, make sure that it is a candle compatible dye. Okay, vegetable dye is also an option, as well as mica powder. Okay, you can also buy dye chips and dye blocks that are candle and wax compatible. So keep that in mind if you are looking to color your candles. You can make them in a wide variety of colors. If you happen to purchase those dyes, you want to make sure that you are using a specific amount of dye to make a specific shade of color. So if you buy a green block, so if you buy a green block of candle dye, a little bit of that dye can actually be turquoise, right? Or if you buy a red block of dye, or if you're using a red bottle of dye, just a drop of red will actually make your candle pink, okay? Again, this is all about recipe. Let's get back to pouring. So this is a delicious cozy cashmere, one of my fall favorites. Okay, all good. Perfect. Yum. So we're back. Some time has passed and the candles have cured, right? So, you know, I got to take a little break. I went to go eat. I went to go relax, and now here we are with these amazing freshly poured cured candles. So there you go. Here you have your candles. They look amazing. Smooth tops, beautiful, ready to burn. So now that we have these candles that are freshly poured, we are now going to trim our wicks, okay? So you have both of them centered, ready to go, okay? So let's grab some scissors and let's trim our wicks. Now we have our freshly made hand-poured soy candles, right? They're all ready to go. We are getting ready to trim the wicks, but I want to make sure that we highlight our warning labels, okay? This is so important. These are one of the most important parts of candle making. You should find one of these warning labels placed on the bottoms of almost every candle that you purchase in stores, okay? Perfect. So our wicks are ready to go. Perfect, perfect. And there they are, freshly trimmed, freshly trimmed. Voila, voila. We're like magicians in here, okay? So we've got our warning labels on, we've got our lids on, and we're ready to label, okay? So there you have it. That is your step-by-step candle making 101 process. Again, thank you for joining us for JCAL Education at Home. This is Candle Making 101 with Mellow Vibe Candles. And again, I'm your host, Christina Wellington. I'll see you guys for the conclusion of this series in episode 4. Thanks for joining us. Light it up, light it up. Ah, gonna light it up, light it up. Wait.